Hi and welcome back to Par Breakers Golf Academy. My name is Bernard Sheridan. We're located in Limerick, Pennsylvania, and today we're going to take a look at the swing of Karrie Webb, and this is by request. One of our viewers, Marcos, requested that we break down Karrie's swing, and Marcos, I'd like to thank you for making that request. So we're really glad that you're viewing, and if you have any other requests, any of you viewers out there, we would love for you to send it or put it in the comment box and send it along to us so that we can make sure that you get to see exactly what you want to see here on Par Breakers Golf Academy's YouTube site. So today what we're going to look at is this great swing of Karrie Webb. Now Karrie Webb, many years ago, was really a very, very top player on the LPGA Tour. There's a lot of things that we can learn here. So the first thing as we see is I have two lines set up, one on the target line and one on her foot line, and we can see that she is square to that target and she is set up in a very great position here to attack the ball. And what I want you to do is look at first, as Karrie starts to take the club away, that shaft goes right down that target line on that takeaway and points at that target line, which is a great position. Now the other thing that I want us to really take notice to here is if we zoom in on her hands, we can see how the back of her right hand is not starting to hinge yet. And as she goes back, just as she starts to get to that 8 o'clock position is when we start to see that hand begin to hinge. Okay, so I see so many players hinging early, and that really gets the club way too inside. So if we look at that and get this just a little bit smaller here, we can see that that shaft is still pointing down the target line. Okay, and that's a good indication as to why, if that wrist starts to hinge, it would get really too far inside. Here's where it really starts to hinge. It's still pointing at the target line. Of course, it's well behind the ball. And then it really gets parallel to that target line once she gets right in front of that 8 o'clock position. So that position, we really don't want to see you hinging your hands too much, okay, until you get to that point. That's when the hinge is really going to start to begin. Okay, so now as we look, as she goes to the top, her shoulders continue to rotate as that hinge happens. If we look here, as she starts to get to that 9 o'clock, or that arm, that right arm or left arm parallel to the ground here, okay, she is still very much in front of herself. What do we mean by that? We talk about this all the time at Par Breakers, okay, and what we really mean by that is those arms are right in front of her chest, okay. That's really important, okay, from when those arms are parallel to the ground on the takeaway and going through impact, that those arms stay in front of you in that section, okay? Preferably 8 to 4 o'clock is the absolute must, okay? But right here we can also see she is still on plane. And as she goes to the top, it's a nice full swing to the top. Her hands are nice and high. She's going to hit the ball pretty high here. And as she starts down, what I want you to notice is that left leg starts to kick out, okay, towards the target as a starter for her to get moving on the downswing. Okay, so if we zoom in on that left knee, you can really see the rotation of that left knee getting over that left foot to start everything down. And as she comes down, wow, what a great position, and that thing is pointed directly at the ball. So let's take a look at that. This is just a great position here, okay? So that's how she's creating lag. She's pulling the butt of that club towards the ball. Here's the thing though. if you pull the butt of the club towards the ball on the downswing, okay, what's going to feel like, it's going to actually start to get you to unhinge a little early. So I want you to feel like you're pulling your left wrist towards the ball on the downswing, right at the ball, okay? That's going to get you to really get in a good position. Now, the next thing that we want to look at here is all the tremendous lag that she's creating and how much that right hand is really hinging into that downswing, okay? Look at all the hinge on that. That's creating lag. The other thing I want you to notice is look at how flat the left wrist is as she's approaching the ball, okay? That left wrist is really flat. That is a great position to be in, okay? This is something that we want to have happen. Now, as she moves in, we can see that her hands really aren't flying past her. They're just turning with her to maintain that position, to square that club face up. And if we look at that, that club face is really square at impact. And as she goes through, that everything just releases and still remains in front of her. Okay? Full extension here past impact. Head is starting to rotate now. Here's the other thing too. Head is looking right at the club head and following it. Absolutely fantastic. Full release. Really coming through. Hit a nice high ball here. And a good finish. Really getting her shoulder to the target. Okay? So what can we learn about this swing? And here's a full release. Look at this. Great. Tons of still flexibility. Okay? So what can we learn about this great swing of Karrie Webb's? Well, the biggest one is don't hinge your hands on the way back. Okay? Let's not get the club too far inside. That's going to help the club stay out in front of us and for you to stay on plane a lot more. As you're coming down into impact, and let's just roll back to that. As you're coming down into impact, feel like you're pulling that left wrist right where that watch is on her arm there. Feel like you're pulling that left wrist, sorry about that, that left wrist down at the ball, okay? And then turn your hips right through it to square everything up. Good full turn. Let the club release after and get your shoulder around. If you can get your shoulder around to that target, you're going to have a lot better result, okay, of keeping that ball on line. So once again, Marcus, thank you so much for sending us this request to take a look at the swing of Karrie Webb. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, folks. We love to hear your comments. Please make sure you leave those below. And as always, I'm Bernard Sheridan from Par Breakers Golf Academy in Limerick, Pennsylvania. Thanks so much for being with us.